Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to be here today to represent UN Women and to see the room not only full of women, but also young people. As the moderator has said, those opportunities need to be harnessed as well. So it's a pleasure to be here. The Director Country Programs of ITC, Mr. Ashish Shah, my sister, Ms. Elsie Atafwa, UNDP Resident Representative, Mr. John Bosco, the Executive Director of EABC, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted to represent UN Women here today. UN Women was a part of the workshop that has just been described that took place last week in Tanzania. And we continue to push the borders and push the packet to ensure that women entrepreneurs have the right opportunities to take advantage of what we see within the context of AFCFTA. The 55 member states that have ratified AFCFTA since its inception in 2018 present a significant opportunity for the integration of a huge sustainable market for Africa, leveraging on its population, which is estimated at 1.3 billion people. Apparently, in sub-Saharan Africa, some of you may know, sub-Saharan Africa boasts the largest number of women entrepreneurs in the world. And the highest are in Uganda, number one, and Botswana, which are represented in this room today. So East Africa is really making inroads. But when you drill down a little bit, you begin to see a lot of disparities. And what we see is that women-led businesses have little opportunity, they have limited capital, they have limited resources, and they're mostly informal and lack the opportunity for growth. The hitherto fragmented African market has a huge potential for women and youth. And it has the potential for them to thrive in a unified preferential trade area for its homegrown goods and services, including its value chains. Imagine that this market actually is bigger, the African market is bigger than the European market, and we pose a significant, I wouldn't want to say threat, but let's just say challenge, competition to the EU market. So we need to take care of our business ourselves. All efforts to make AFCFTA come to its fruition requires its member states' commitment to establish and to be part of the trade framework that works for all its member states, irrespective of the macroeconomic outlook for each member state. This poses a challenge for Africa. However, the modal benefit of AFCFTA must be the ultimate focus. Its projected GDP average growth of 35%, worth about $28 billion, to 54%, worth about $44 billion by 2040 is significant. And of course, that contributes to Agenda 2060 for Africa. And the projected exports increase for all member countries is worth $56 billion. By 2040, we expect to see a significant impact and a huge growth potential that the AFCFTA creates for Africa. And so why wouldn't we want to be part of that? Uganda, like most countries, is counting on the AFCFTA to boost its trade sector as a vehicle for inclusive growth and development. The inclusion of and the participation of women and youth in this process is crucial for significant and important growth of AFCFTA. And its ultimate benefits and impact are huge down to the household levels. For complete success, such growth should actually address inequality in all its forms. I stand here as UN Women to continue to advocate for equality of opportunity and inclusion in every respect. And AFCFTA is not different, including on gender equality and the inclusion of youth, women with disabilities, and other marginalized groups. It is therefore critical from the onset to establish what the AFCFTA means for women and youth in terms of their participation in cross-border trade, value chains, public procurement. The potential that these hold for women and youth is tremendous. And the contributions that they can make in fostering the aim and the objectives of AFCFTA. All stakeholders have the responsibility to ensure that AFCFTA works for women and youth, and have to put measures in place to ensure that we can unlock their potentials. Let me just highlight a few critical gaps that we as UN Women see in terms of women engaging in AFCFTA as well as the cross-border trade opportunities. They face very dire challenges. For example, gender-based violence, and this is one of the areas that is not often mentioned or not often highlighted. I come from Nigeria. I know that the border between Nigeria and Benin Republic holds tremendous opportunity. But we once did a research on that cross-border opportunity, and we saw that one thing that deters women from taking full advantage of that market is gender-based violence at the border, by the police, by customs officials, by authorities at the border. So these are some of the challenges, systemic challenges that need to be addressed, including transportation, lack of finances, as has been mentioned, lack of information, lack of access to ICT, and lack of negotiation skills, unpaid care work. And there's several impediments that continue to prevent women and youth from taking advantage of these opportunities. We also know that there are gaps, including a limited understanding of the opportunities. I have spoken to several entrepreneurs who do not know how the trade tariffs work. They don't know how to engage. They don't understand how to export. They have the potentials, they have the goods, they have the opportunities, they have the markets on the other side. But how to engage it is what is the challenge. So these issues around the legal and the policy context need to be unpacked and demystified for women and youth so that they can take full advantage of those opportunities. And then the parliaments and lawmakers, decision makers, have to put measures in place to ensure that there is the enabling environment for women, small businesses to be able to take advantage. Trade facilitation is critical, and trade facilitation is limited. And when we do a research or when we do a stock taking of trade facilitation, we see that majority of those who take advantage of these opportunities are actually men, big businesses who have the influence and have the clout and the capacity. And if we want AFCFTA to be what it should be at the end of the day, then we must give the opportunity to those small businesses to not only survive, but thrive and take advantage of trade facilitation. I think that would be all. One more point, improving the private sector competitiveness in Uganda and in the countries in East Africa, and I'm happy that Mr. John Bosco is here, the East African Business Council. You have a role to play in ensuring that a conducive environment exists for competitiveness for women and youth in Africa, so that they can take advantage of that opportunity. Only 9% of startups are led by women. 9%. That is a dismal number. So we would like to see AFCFTA boost that to a huge, a bigger number. And there's no explanation for these low numbers. Not at all. As I wrap up, I would like to mention a few areas where we think we need to bolster in the context of AFCFTA in Africa. An enabling environment, I mentioned that earlier on. Inclusive participation of all key stakeholders, particularly women and youth, in their opportunities to negotiate, and also creating, addressing barriers that continue to keep them small, making sure that they have access to financial services and the resources, affordable, safe, and easy for women to be able to access these opportunities at all levels. Strengthening women's trade associations is also key. Many women who are not bold enough to go it all alone would be able to leverage on the collective strength of trade associations to pivot and go international, and make sure that they can access other markets in Africa. Access to information and technology. As UN Women, we pledge our continued support to such initiatives as this, and as other initiatives that will continue to advance the rights of women within the context of AFCFTA. We look forward to the outcome of this meeting and look forward to continue to partner with ITC, UNDP, and EABC going forward. Thank you very much.